time of filming this video. How's it going, everybody? I hope you enjoyed that B-roll. I filmed that yesterday. I really enjoyed filming it, but it just took way too long. Today we're going to be covering the 5 best business books I think you should read in 2020 if you have money in the stock market, you want to get a better sense of the business world and mindset, or you just want to better yourself in general. Stick around and we'll get right into it. How's it going, everybody? I am Sean Lucas, and like I said earlier, today we're going to be covering the 5 best business books I think you should read in 2020. But first, if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Every subscriber means the world for me, and it helps out small creators like myself out tremendously. If you do like what you hear or learn here today, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those in the comment section below. All right, let's get into it. Last year, I posted a similar video where I highlighted these 5 books. The 4-Hour Workweek, $1 Million Habits, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Think and Grow Rich, and Think Big, Act Bigger. But this time around, I'm going to be covering the Essays of Warren Buffett, Lessons for Corporate America, The Millionaire Next Door, The Strategic Dividend Investor, Miracle Morning Millionaires, and The Intelligent Investor. Now, for this time around, I wanted to try something different. Last time, I read the books and came up with short summaries to hopefully get you guys interested in the books and read them. And actually, for the last 2 books, I found summaries from 2 online sites because I thought they were more important and they needed a better summary. But for this time around, I wanted to show you guys a cool tip/trick that I found for this time around. And something that I found was a common theme since reading and starting this reading kick was I would get frustrated because I forgot the key points and the stuff that I truly wanted to remember. So something that I started doing right after that last video went up was I started using an index card as my bookmark. It's nice, it's a small piece of paper that is always there when you're reading. Now, this was a great addition to my reading process because now I can write down important things from the book that I'm reading or important page numbers so I can come back to it. And before you guys get onto my case too much, and I know this isn't groundbreaking stuff for you more experienced readers, but for people like myself who just started reading like this over a year ago, this is an awesome addition. Because like I said, when I got done reading a book, I'd get frustrated when I just read something that could be life-changing and I forgot where it was or what it was, or worse, what book it came from. At least with this way now, I can look back on my bookmarks to see what quote it was or what page number I have written down for it, so I can go and have a better idea which book it came from if it ever gets to that point. But that's enough of me rambling. Let's get into book number 1. Just to let you guys know, these books aren't listed in any particular order, just books that, just put it in an order where I thought it would be nice for this video. Alright, so for book number 1, I wanted to start with the first book that I read in 2020, which was The Strategic Dividend Investor. The Strategic Dividend Investor was written by Daniel Paris back in 2011. This book was an eye-opener, to say the least. I wanted to read this book because it was one of the first, if not the first book that was written about finance, the stock market, investing in general after the 08-09 financial crisis and recession. So sort of to continue with what I said earlier about the bookmark, let me show you exactly what I wrote down on my index card bookmark. Now, one of the most important things, key takeaways I took from this book was this quote exactly. So, quote, "Brokerages make money off of traders, not investors. That's why they promote trading more," end quote. So after reading that specific line, I had an honest thought about it. And it makes sense that brokerages would try to get as many people into the trading world as possible, because for so long they used to make so much money off the commissions they would get off of each trade. I mean, obviously now the big guns have moved to 0 commissions, but that was true for so long. And, it kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't they try to get as many people believing that they could beat the market as they could? Because every person that saw an ad where someone like themselves was succeeding in the trading world is just one step closer for them to, deposit money into their brokerage account and try to beat the market, no matter how the stats are stacked up against them. Another key line/quote that I thought was very important and a key takeaway is exactly as follows. Quote, "The likelihood of a trader finding the secret formula to trading frequently and successfully is as common as it was 50 years ago," end quote. See, I like this quote a lot because it kind of backs what I was saying in my video, What You Must Know About Investing for 2020. This sort of means whatever course you're learning from or whatever guru you're listening to, the chances are all the same. Yes, you may be learning about more of the indicators that they're using or the specific area of the market that they usually trade in, But really, the market doesn't care what you think you know or how great you think you are. The market is going to do what the market's going to do. And if you're wrong by the slightest amount, the market will chew you up and spit you out. And that's why 95%, and probably more by now, of traders end up quitting within the year. This book was one of the books I was interested in reading because moving into the new year, I wanted to move into a more removed sense of investing in trading in a sense. But that topic will get its own video sometime soon. Moving into book number 2. As for the second book on the list, I threw in a little bit of a curveball. I mean, this isn't one that you would normally see in like some YouTubers' top 5 books you should read in 2020 or anything like that. But this is a book that I think is very beneficial. The Essays of Warren Buffett, Lessons for Corporate America, is a book of essays that were written by Warren Buffett, but they were put together, arranged, and selected and introduced by Lawrence A. Cunningham. Now, I don't know how to put this lightly. This isn't a book that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat for the whole book, but there might be some tidbits in the book that will benefit you in the future when you become a big shot CEO at some major corporation. I thought this book was a cool way to see or envision how corporations should be run. I mean, this book is written, or the essays are written by Mr. Warren Buffett himself. So this is how him and Charlie run their corporation. From my index card bookmark, I wrote down this quote. Is it difficult to conclude that Coke and Gillette possesses less risk than any computer company? Coke sells 44% of all soft drinks and Gillette sells 60%. End quote, page 78. Now this quote out of context could be viewed as where to put your money, Coke and Gillette. But the way I see it is how you should look at long-term investments. I think this is something you could or should introduce in your arsenal before picking your long-term investments. So I wrote down this little scenario. Now, let's say you want to buy some XYZ stock, and this investment could make you millions of dollars down the road. But the thing is, you only research one time and you barely scratch the surface. Now, the truth of XYZ company is that it only holds 5% of the market share. Out of that 5%, it only sells to 50% of its potential customers, and out of all the data that has been pulled from it, the sales aren't growing anymore. In the beginning, you thought this investment was going to make you millions down the road, but in actuality, you only scratch the surface of doing any kind of research. And with 5% market share, I mean, it's going to be tough for this investment to make you millions, where, Coke and Gillette, I mean, they basically have 50% of the market share. Well, Gillette has 60, but you get my point. Anyways, I just thought that was a cool way to interpret and kind of understand what the main point of that essay was. However, that's all I have for this book. Moving on to book number 3. As for the third book, I wanted to share this one. The Millionaire Next Door. It's all about that. How, what, and who is the millionaire next door? How did they get there? What are some of the things that they do yearly, monthly, and daily? And probably the most asked question is who? Who is the millionaire next door? What do they look like? And this is where I gotta be honest. I am not completely finished with this book, and that's kind of led to the reason why I didn't post last week. But what I've read thus far is pretty interesting. This book was written by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. And something that I found interesting about this book is that they clearly state in the book that they claim that they have done the most research on figuring out who/what/where and all the questions who, what, when, where, and why is a millionaire and who are they. And they created a questionnaire interview that they brought to as many millionaires as they could, and they diverse groups of millionaires into two different groups. You got Deca millionaires, or you have the high income people that they talk about. The difference between the two is Deca millionaires are building wealth and they live way below their means. The high income people who don't get me wrong, are making good money, they aren't building wealth, and it's because they aren't tracking what they're spending each day. Let me just list 3 of the questions that they've asked some of these millionaires. Question 1, does your household operate on an annual budget? Question 2, do you know how much your family spends each year for food, clothing, and shelter? And question 3, do you have a clearly defined set of daily, weekly, monthly, annually, and lifetime goals? And the way that these questions were answered between the two groups of, rich people was the key difference between them. The Deca millionaires who have built up their wealth and live way below their means, they do keep track of everything they spend on clothes, food, and shelter each year. They do have clearly defined goals for yearly, monthly, daily, and lifetime goals. and their family does work on an annual budget, where, you know, all those key factors are the wealthy deca millionaires. It's quite opposite for the high income people. Even though they are rich, they aren't building wealth because they're buying the newest car, the newest phone, the newest watch. They're getting all expensive suits, which in the book they state their reasons of, you know, keeping out of the high tax brackets. But the book does a great job of telling you of who is the millionaire next door. So if you want to figure that out, go ahead and read the book. Now, pushing forward to book number 4, which I think is a more interesting book, and is honestly one of my favorite books right now. It is the Miracle Morning Millionaires: What the Wealthy Do Before 8 a.m. This book was written by Hal Elrod and David Osborne in 2018, so fairly recent. And like I said, this is probably one of my favorite books right now. And one of the key things that I thought was pretty interesting is that David Osborne emphasizes on the repetition of waking up early. And as this book states, and many other places state, you know, across the internet, is that if you can't conquer the morning, then how do you expect to conquer the whole day? There are tons of factors that go into waking up early, and David covers those topics thoroughly. One of them that stuck with me is something that I already kind of knew about, but this one David kind of adds to it. Yeah, David and we're on a first name basis. So what I'm talking about, as he states, is, you know, can be controversial, and I kind of agree with that, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it here. So during the night while you're sleeping, your body is actively recovering from the previous day. And something that a lot of people don't realize, during the day, your brain creates natural toxins, and while you're asleep, your body is supposed to be cleansing those toxins. However, if you're eating junk food all day, the time spent trying to clean the toxins in your brain is actually spent trying to digest and filter out the junk food you were eating. By the time you wake up, your brain barely got, if at all, cleaned from the toxins. When all that happens, now you're waking up with toxins in your brain, and thus being tired, and which makes you more likely to hit the snooze button, which you won't be able to conquer the day conquered you, basically. And even if all that isn't true, like, the way I see it is, why wouldn't you want to try to eat healthier, even like just to see if it works better for you? Maybe not eating Cheetos all day, maybe pick up an apple and see how you feel the next day. I mean, so anyways, moving on to one of the main quotes that I like that I wrote down on my index card bookmark was, anything you repeatedly say to yourself with emotion will be programmed into your subconscious mind, help you form new beliefs, and manifest itself through your actions. End quote. Page 36. And this is another key topic that he covers in his book. For example, with the morning situation. So if you're going to bed late at night and you realize you're only going to get 6 hours of sleep if you go to bed immediately, you automatically kind of say to yourself, oh man, I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow morning. What he's trying to build on here is that you're manifesting, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be tired. He has found through studies that if you go to bed saying, oh, tomorrow's going to be the best day ever, I'm going to have the greatest day, then he's found through studies that you do tend to wake up less exhausted and, you know, can help you conquer the day. But overall, I think it's a great book, and I think you should read it. However, that's it for book number 4. We're going to move on to book number 5. So see you guys there. Moving to the final book. Moving on to book number 5, we have The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. This book is one of those books that every big time investor like Warren Buffett has either read themselves or at least heard of. So the Intelligent Investor was written all the way back in 1949. So, you know, it's been around for quite some time. And honestly, one of my favorite things about this book is the summary that is written by Jason Zweig, yeah. His commentary on the book was something that I thought was an awesome addition, and I use it basically as a confirmation of what I've read in the previous chapter. Usually I read the chapter, I come to a conclusion, and I pick out the key parts, and his summarization, or commentary rather, is either confirms or corrects what I thought were the key takeaways. From my index card bookmark, I wrote down this quote right here. It goes as follows. Quote, if you invested $12,000 into the S&P 500 in September 1929, 10 years later, you would only have $7,223 left. But if you started partly and invested $100 and simply invested another $100 every single month, then by August 1939, 10 years later, your money would have grown to $15,571. End quote, page 131. This also kind of backs up of what I was saying in what you must know about investing for 2020. As has been heavily stated, if you missed the if you miss the best 10 days in the market or even the best 5 days in the market, you will significantly lower your overall return in the stock market. Or even the case from this quote, you could have a negative return. This just shows you how powerful dollar cost averaging really can be. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed my top 5 business books that I think you should read for 2020. If you have any other suggestions, leave those in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know by leaving a thumbs up. It lets me and the YouTube algorithm know that I'm doing something right and I should continue doing it. And for the YouTube side, it should share my video with more people. If you did really like it and you like me and you like my content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like I said earlier, it really means the world to me. It goes a long way for small YouTube creators like myself. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get to them. However, that's all I got for this one, guys. Remember to keep reading, keep investing, do the research, smash the like button, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.